Hey everybody, it's Gena Horiatis here, and we're going to get started to talk about private money in just a few minutes. I wanted to just jump on here and make sure I've got all the technical stuff working. So got another computer next to me to read the chat. Somebody out there, let me know if you can hear and see me, would you please? Does look like I'm live. Andy, you out there, man? Let me know if you can hear me and see me. Not getting any response from anyone. Hoping that you can hear and see me. Let me know. We're not going to actually start for another 5 minutes or so, but I just wanted to make sure I've got the system working for us. Andy, sweetie, thank you. You see and hear me. Appreciate that feedback very much. So if Andy, if you can see and hear me, then I know that it's all right on my end. If anybody has any issues with this, the viewing or the sound, it's going to be on your computer's end, so you would do a refresh or whatever. So again, Andy, thank you for the feedback. I'm going to go ahead and mute myself, and I'll be back in 5 minutes to start. All right, well, officially good evening, everyone. I'm Gena Horiatis, and I am always delighted to be here with my IE family. Hope everybody is feeling great tonight. I hope you're ready to learn or review some information on private money. I mentioned when I was checking in before 6 o'clock that I've got another computer opened over here so that when I do open it up for questions, you'll see me looking that way. And I'll be able to read your questions and respond on screen. I won't be typing answers, but I will be going and looking there when I do open it up for questions. I'm going to ask for you to please not ask questions throughout because I have some material that I just want to make sure I am able to cover with you in somewhat of a logical sequence. But I will stop for sure at different points in the chat or in the Google Hangout here, and definitely at the end to open it up for any questions or comments. So please, if a question does pop in your mind, rather than typing it right then, which might be distracting not only to me, but to the other viewers, if you could just take a piece of paper and a pen while you're watching this, jot down any questions that come up, and I promise I will address them at the end. I'll be handling questions about tonight's topic, which is using private money to fund your deals. Okay, if we have time, I'll answer some miscellaneous questions at the end as well. All right, so hopefully I've had the opportunity to meet a good number of you and in person and on IE and so forth. But for those of you who I've not yet had the opportunity and privilege to meet, I'll give you just a real quick idea as to my background and who I am, what I do in the world of real estate, just briefly here. Summer of 2009 was when I found real estate investing. I knew nothing about investing in real estate prior to that, and I do mean nothing. I didn't even know ordinary people invested in real estate. That was a Donald Trump kind of a thing, right? I've been married a long time, 37 years, to the same guy, Nick, and we've got 4 kids. And in 2009, 2 of them were in college at the same time. And I'd been a stay-at-home mom, loved that, had been teaching piano for about a decade, but that college tuition was taking its toll. And in the back of my mind, I was trying to figure out how could I bring more money into the household. And I think that almost unbeknownst to me, I was realizing that I also needed a recreation of self. My 4 children were reaching the point where they didn't need me the way they used to when they were younger and growing. And I didn't know if there was anything else that I had to offer to the world, quite frankly. Who was I going to become? What was I going to do? And the last of the kids said, "See ya, Mom." And so when I found real estate, it was the answer to my prayers, both in terms of being able to make some substantial money and also a new role in life for myself. I mean, I cannot tell you how much becoming a real estate investor has transformed me, along with helping my family and giving my children a different perspective of mom and relieving my husband of some burden and so forth. I was able to work my way through the education, a lot of the same type of education that a lot of you folks are going through, and did a number of deals here in my hometown of Seattle. And then about a year, 2 years into it, started investing remotely in Cleveland, Ohio, suburbs of Cleveland, suburbs of Detroit. I've been in North Carolina, setting up a team in Tulsa right now, Toledo, Ohio. So I wholesale in Seattle. And I do my flips and my holds in the cities where properties cost so much less, and there's less money tied up, less risk in any one deal, and by the way, much easier to find one private individual to do a private money loan on that size of a deal. So there you go. That's a little introduction to me. Hope to have the opportunity to meet a lot more of you in the near future. I know we've got a big Edge event coming up soon, and I hope to see a bunch of you there. So let's start talking about private money. So let's broaden that a little bit to start with and just talk about ways to fund deals, all right, and why I personally have keyed in almost exclusively on the use of private money. Now, first of all, when you're going to wholesale deals, and by that, of course, I mean you find a property, get it under contract. You've already talked to other investors who serve as your cash buyers, not people who want to live in the home, but other investors. And you essentially sell the deal to another investor and get paid for creating that deal. That's wholesaling, as most of you probably know. And you don't need any money for that. And that is fantastic. And I love wholesaling. But you know, right now, the market is such that if you can get in on a flip yourself while the market is escalating, we've got that growth in equity, why not? Especially if you've gained some experience and knowledge through wholesaling. Or if you can get yourself some properties for rentals that you can hold and get a nice, healthy, passive income while the market, though it's escalating everywhere, is still low, especially in the Midwest and the South, where you can get really healthy returns. I mean, I'm talking 10, 15% or more. Why not do that, right? And private money, to me, has been the answer. But once again, backtracking a little bit, let's talk about various ways you can fund deals, because I think sometimes we get so caught up in, you know, ooh, we've got to be so creative in our deals that we forget that there are some traditional approaches that are actually okay to use. For example, the first two deals that I did, one of them, I took out a traditional mortgage on it. Imagine that. I worked with a bank and got a traditional mortgage. The second one, I had two going at the same time. I took a larger home equity line of credit on our house, which, you know, was another cheap way to get funds. So there's nothing wrong with using those means if you have them available to you. I was blessed in the sense that I was able to do that. We had a house with enough equity in it. I could take a line of credit. We had decent credit. I could get a traditional mortgage. Not everybody can do that. And if you can't, it's not your fault. A lot of crap has happened in the economy these past years, and lots of very, very fine individuals of good character and so forth have lousy credit right now, right? So there's got to be another way, and there is. Now there's hard money. Hard money is not what I'm talking about. But once again, let's talk about what is hard money. First of all, why is it called hard money? You know, when I was a new investor, when I was a student, I had listened to discussions about hard money for weeks, if not months, before I got the courage to admit I had not a clue what any of that meant. I mean, hard money, we talking about quarters and nickels here or what? And I remember calling up the mentor line I had at the time and saying, all right, I just don't know what the heck this hard money stuff is. And so listen, if you're ever feeling like I felt as a new investor, like I should know something, but I don't, please find somebody to ask. In fact, you're here on IE. Send a question, ask the experts a question. Don't be shy and feel like you're the only one that doesn't know, because I can guarantee you there will be other people who appreciate finding out the answer to your mystery question as well. So, hard money. First of all, hard money lenders are professional lenders. This is what they do as part of their business. Quite often, if not all of the time, they're actually also real estate investors who have a good stream of money. They have more money than they need to get their own deals done, so they lend it, all right? It's a good, healthy business. Hard money is not inexpensive. A typical hard money loan, and this varies greatly and everything's negotiable and so forth, but let's say a typical hard money loan, first of all, will only be for about 75% of your deal. So a hard money lender does want you to have some skin in the game. He's going to want you to have about a quarter down, 25% down. So if you're buying a house, even that's only say $40,000 purchase price, you're still going to need $10,000 down. Now, maybe you can fund that $10,000 with a private money loan when we get to discussing that a little further, or maybe you've got the 10. Or, hey, maybe you've got a personal line of credit worth 10 on it. Maybe you've got a credit card. Oh my gosh, I did a lot of deals using those 0% balance transfer offers on credit cards. I mean, you know, at first it took me a while to feel comfortable with that because I wasn't brought up that way financially, you know, to carry debt and have credit lines and credit cards and all of that. I mean, but I really have learned that there is good debt. If you're paying 0% or even 3-4% on money that you have access to, and you're putting it to use where you can earn 10, 15, 20% return, that's being a good steward of your money as far as I'm concerned. So in the beginning, I used a lot of those lines of credit for that 25% down perhaps, or the amount I needed for renovating a home. In fact, I still do that from time to time. I need to put some more money in a renovation. Let me get some of that zero money for that upfront 3% fee. Nothing wrong with that. So getting back to the hard money lender, about 75%, you'll need 25% down. They may or may not loan you any of the renovation costs the renovation funds that you need. And, those are going to be $5,000 to $15,000, $20,000, $30,000, depending on your project. In Seattle, it can be $40,000, $50,000, $60,000. So then the interest rates are going to be a little hard to swallow at first. They're typically 12 to 15%, and typically they're going to charge you 3 to 5 points up front, or taken out of the amount that you borrow, a point being 1% of your loan. So that's hard money. And again, if this is your only source or your best source of funding for a deal, and you work those costs into your numbers when you figure out the profit in your deal and you still have enough profit left, go for it. Use hard money. Nothing wrong with that. If you are going to use hard money, there are nationwide lenders you can use, but honestly, I think as you network in your real estate investment clubs locally, which you really need to be doing, you're going to find local hard money lenders who are likely going to offer you better terms, cheaper costs, especially as you develop a relationship with them. So private money is not hard money, all right? I have noticed in the last year or two that a lot of hard money lenders are calling themselves private lenders, okay? It's like used car lots are no longer called used cars, right? They're called, what are they called? Pre-owned, right? Pre-owned. Calling a hard money lender a private lender doesn't make them a private lender. A used car is still a used car, whether you call it pre-owned or not. So if you go to a website, if a lender has a website saying they offer loans, they're not a private lender. They're a hard money lender. They are private in the sense that they are not a traditional commercial lender like a bank or a credit union. Okay, that is true. But a private money lender is just an individual that you know, all right, that you know, that has some funds that's not earning a good return. You know more people than you think that have some little stash of cash or assets that is earning 0 to 5%. My first private money lender was my friend and my neighbor, Barbara. And I used to teach piano to Barbara's 2 children. And I even actually taught Barbara for a while. And she found out I was doing some investing in real estate, and she was curious. And so I talked to her, and I said, as if I had done this before, well, Barbara, sometimes I have opportunities for other people to invest with me and get a better return on their money than they're getting with their traditional investment. I had never done this before, okay, but I just said this confidently, and I had read up on private money and gotten some dialogue and practice. In fact, I had even created what we call a credibility kit, and I'll come back to that in a moment. So Barbara and I had some coffee at Starbucks and talked about these opportunities that I had for other people. And now Barbara knew me, liked me, and trusted me. And that's something you always need to remember. People do business with people they know, like, and trust, okay? So a couple days later, Barbara comes knocking at my door saying, Gena, I'm ready. And I'm like, hi, Barbara, what are you ready for? Do we have a piano lesson I forgot about? She's like, no, I'm ready to invest with you. I was like, oh my gosh, well, do come in. Let me tell you about a couple deals I'm working on and see what you like. Which brings me to a lesson, all right? When you do work with a private money lender, you want to know, what does that individual need to know to decide they want to invest with you? And that's what you tell them, and no more. Because if you confuse them with the wrong kind of information, and by wrong, I mean the information they don't need, the confused mind says no, all right? Here's what Barbara needed. I showed Barbara pictures of 3 houses that I was currently working on getting under contract. pictures. Barbara fell in love with one of the houses. Oh, this one is so cute. Look at that stairway. Look at those lead glass windows. I wish I could live there. That's the house I want to invest in. Okay. Did she care about ROI, cap rate, equity in the house, any of that? No. Barbara knew me, she liked me, she trusted me, and she fell in love with the house. Now, one of my other private lenders is my accountant. Do you suppose my accountant is interested in seeing pictures of the house? No, not so much. My accountant wants the Excel spreadsheet with the numbers. He wants to know how much equity is in the house for the price at which he's funding it. He wants to know what the ARV, the after repair value, will be. He wants to know how fast the market moves. He wants to know if it's going to be a hold, what the rent will be. He wants to know what the return on his money is. Okay, he's a numbers guy. Don't confuse him or waste his time with photos. Tell him numbers. So you have to know your lender. Now, I tend to go on these side tangents, so you're going to have to bear with me. Private money then, individuals that you know that are not getting a good return on their money. Barbara had $30-some thousand sitting literally in a regular bank savings account where she was earning 0.5% on her money. And by the way, her financial advisor told her to leave it there. Good advice, huh? Well, Barbara fortunately could see past that ridiculous advice. And I put together a deal with Barbara on that pretty house. She gets 7% on her money. I generally offer between 5 and 9%. I know there are other investors who offer 10, 15%. I have not had to do that. I believe that once you start offering 15%, it sounds like a really risky deal. It's not a really risky deal, and I don't want it to be presented as if it might be. If you're paying, let's say, 7% like I am on this particular transaction, and that person was earning 3%, you have more than doubled their return. I've got another one at 8%, another one at 9%. The percentage of return depends on what they need to do the deal and what you are willing to give them. Everything is negotiable. All right, so back again, a private money lender is just an individual you know who has some funds that they're not making a good return on. Recently, the SEC, which is Securities Exchange Commission, changed some of their rules. You need to understand that the SEC does have rules and regulations as to how you as an investor can work with a private lender because, again, these folks are not professional lenders. Therefore, the SEC wants to make sure you're not taking advantage of them. Now, I am not an attorney, okay, let alone an SEC trained attorney. So I am not here to in any way give you legal advice. My advice to you is this: if you're going to pursue, or when I should say you're going to pursue using private money, please get in touch with a real estate attorney who understands the SEC rules and regulations and make sure that you are doing everything correctly, okay? Enough said about that. Now, it used to be, until recently, that the SEC said that you couldn't advertise for private money lenders, even though you'd go on Craigslist and see ads all the time for getting better returns on your money. They've changed that, and yet you still have to have a pre-existing relationship. So how do you establish this pre-existing relationship if you don't already have one? It's rather loose, and it's not incredibly well defined. A couple of educators and attorneys I've talked to have said, generally speaking, if you have what they call 3 touches with an individual, you have an pre-existing relationship. This means that the first day you meet somebody, for example, let's say you do some advertising offering the opportunity to invest with you, or you have that on your website or wherever the case may be. The first time you speak with this individual, you should not offer them a particular investment opportunity. You should treat that first and perhaps second meeting as an educational time, a time when you get to know each other, when you explain to them what's going on in the real estate market in general and in your real estate investing business. And perhaps you could show them numbers on similar deals that you've done in the past without actually offering them a particular investment at this point. Now, after you've met with them or talked to them or emailed them 3 times, and again, that's not an exact legal requirement, but 3 interactions with this person, that fourth time, you ought to be okay. Again, I'm not giving you legal advice, but it's the way I do it. You ought to be okay by that fourth time to be able and present them with a particular opportunity. All right. Now, before I talk about how do you present that and what documents and so forth do you need to use, let's talk about, where was my train of thought going? Forgive me. You're going to meet with that individual. Okay. The way that I do it, which I think is simplest, is to secure one private money lender on one property. Now, if you're working in a more expensive market, that may be more difficult to do. If you put 2 lenders or 3 lenders on one house, then somebody's going to be in first lien position, somebody's going to have to be in second and third position. And so that makes it just a little more complicated. There is another way you can do it, which I'll speak of briefly right now, and it's not something that I personally have done. An SEC attorney could advise you on this. There is a legal, I don't know if I should call it document or entity thing you can do called a private placement memorandum. Private placement memorandum, that's PPM for short. If you have a SEC trained attorney create for you a private placement memorandum, you are then able to simply pool funds, and the investors who put their money in are given a return of a set amount, which is determined in your private placement memorandum. In that way, you can get $20,000 from your neighbor, and for $30,000 from your brother, and $50,000 from your accountant, and $10,000 from your pizza guy, you know, whatever. Mush it all together, just have it sitting there waiting until you put it to use. All right, so you just have a pile of money for which you are paying a return on whether or not you're using it. So that is one option. If you're very busy and you just want to have those funds waiting for you, you might look into a private placement memorandum. That's not how I do it, okay? I still keep things pretty simply. I get a deal under contract, okay? And then I have several private money lenders that are waiting for deals to fund, okay? Because here's the thing you've got to realize, and this is where I wanted to go when my mind went blank a moment ago, by the way, so I'm back with you. You cannot have the mindset that you are asking people for money. Oh, I can't do my business unless I beg you for money. Please, Uncle Joe, could you loan me money so I could flip a house? No, this is not what you want to do, and it's not going to work. And I have to be honest with you, it took me a while to get my mind and my confidence in a place where I felt that instead of asking for money, I had an opportunity to offer. And this is the truth. As real estate investors, folks, you are sitting on a gold mine of opportunity. You may or may not realize how much money is out there wishing it knew how to get into the real estate market, and it doesn't know how, but you do. So when you create a deal, whether you're putting in all those offers using the 25-to-1, or you're doing your good marketing with bandit signs and other advertising, and you're getting deals under contract, and now you've got this house which you could renovate and resell and make a $10, $20, $30, $40, $50, $60,000 profit, okay? Granted, flips don't always make profits. I've suffered through that myself this past year. Generally speaking, flips can be amazingly profitable. Or how about you get a hold, you find yourself a rental that's got a 10, 15% return on your money. If you've got that funded with a private investor, you could split that right in half and still be making a truckload of money, both of you, right? So you are the one with the know-how. You are the one with the goods. You're the one with the ability to create the deal, to manage the project, to get the contractors, to know what materials to be used, to project manage and see that renovation to a successful end and put it with a good real estate agent and sell it. You're the one to know how to determine the rental and get the tenant in there, get property management in place. The private money investor, all they have to do is give the cash. Their contribution to the deal is just the cash. That's it. You're doing, actually, in my opinion, the hard work, okay? So you are offering an opportunity to them to partake in your incredible knowledge of today's real estate market. You gotta feel that inside. It has to be real to you so that when you speak to your potential investors, they can see your confidence, they can see your competence, which brings me back to this idea of a credibility kit. A credibility kit is something I learned about when I first started looking at private money. And all it is kind of like a brochure about you and your company. It's a warm, fuzzy brochure that helps people know, like, and trust you. And I did my first one, I just used Microsoft Publisher. Excuse me, I need a little sip of water. Okay, I just used Microsoft Publisher. By the way, I didn't know how to use Microsoft Publisher, okay? I gotta tell you, I got no sympathy for you guys who say, well, I don't know how to do that. I didn't know how to do it either. Learn it. I mean, I learned it. You know, you can learn it. If get somebody, you know, younger than me to teach you how to sit down and do some of this computer stuff, or have somebody do it for you. I get distracted. Okay, so I created a credibility kit, a little brochure using Microsoft Publisher. You can use whatever you want. And it basically had some pictures of me and my family, even my dog, okay? Little blurbs, little bios about me, community involvement I'd had. Now remember, I did this fairly early on, so I didn't have a whole lot of deals to brag on. So I talked about the volunteer work I did in the schools, what I did in the church, previous employment, that kind of thing. And the couple deals I had done, I had pictures in there of the renovation, little pieces of information about me and my company. It's just something when you sit down with your potential private money investor, you can lay that out, let them take a look at it, let them take home one with them, let them take one home with them. And it makes you a little more credible. Credibility kit, okay? It's professional advertising. You're marketing yourself and your business. So I do recommend you do that. You might just Google credibility kit, okay? And you'll find some helpful information online, I'm sure. That's how I found out about it, about putting this together. So I have individuals I know, and I have started talking about being a real estate investor. That's the first thing you gotta do, guys. You have to let people know that you're a real estate investor. You can't hide under the bushel here, under the barrel, and find private money. You got to be vocal about this. So that line that I used with Barbara, sometimes I have opportunities for individuals to invest with me and make a better return on their money. Hey, probably wouldn't be for you, but if you know anybody that might be interested, send them my way. Hey, why wouldn't it be for me? In other words, be a little reluctant, lay it out there, but don't pinpoint it on them. Maybe you know somebody, you know, maybe, I know you wouldn't be interested, but maybe you know somebody who would be, okay? And just drop those hints, all right? And keep at it, and you'll get people interested. Now, I'm not saying don't ever specifically make an offer to an individual, but kind of start whetting their appetite. Then once you get a deal under contract, you're going to go to those people who may be interested. What I suggest that you do at this point is create a little, a spec sheet on this particular opportunity. I would just create a Word document, and I would cut and paste some pictures of that house right onto that document. I would put the purchase price of the house, the estimated renovation costs, and a little bullets about what that's going to include, and then the after repair value. What's that house going to sell for? And present that particular deal to these individuals with whom you have established a previous relationship, all right? And now they can say yay or nay. And if it's not for them, maybe they know somebody else that it's for. Now, once you get an individual interested in a deal, how do you actually put the deal together? That's where I think we should go next. Let me take a look at my cheat sheet of notes, though, and see if there's anything I should have told you before we go on here. No, I think that we're doing pretty well here. So you've got a deal under contract. You've got an individual that would like to take part of that profit, okay? Have the opportunity to earn money in the real estate market where you are the expert. So there are two primary documents that I suggest you have drawn up by a real estate attorney in the state in which the investment is. Now, the title companies can help you find this. In fact, some of the title companies can even do it. And it varies by every state, so I'm not really going to be any more specific than that. Some states even have these documents available on the state website. You can just download them and customize them. But a real estate attorney in the state, title company can refer you, real estate agent can refer you, other investors in the state can refer you, the real estate investment club in that area can refer you. You'll need a good real estate attorney. First of all, you need a promissory note. The promissory note simply spells out the terms of this investment opportunity. In other words, how much are they investing? What's the dollar amount? What's the length of time of this investment? If it's going to be for a house that you're flipping, and when I say flip, let me clarify, I mean you're going to purchase the house with this person's funds, you're going to renovate the house with a contractor, you're going to sell it to a homeowner, probably using a real estate agent. That's what I mean by the word flip. If it's going to be a flip, I would not make that for less than 6 months. 9 months would be better. Here's the reality of flipping. You might think you're going to get that renovation done in 2 or 3 weeks, and God bless you, you might. Mine still takes 6 to 8 weeks, and I've had some go longer than that. Am I proud when they go longer? Nope, but that's reality. Okay, so we've got at least a month or 2 to get the house renovated. Secondly, we've got to get that house on the market and sell it. Now, in most areas of the country, markets are moving quickly. If you price it correctly, and by correctly, I usually price a tad below the market so it sells quickly, you get it under contract in a month, okay? Maybe it takes 2 months. So we are now 2 to 4 months into this deal, okay? Here's where the real slow up can be in today's market, and that is your buyer getting their loan, even if they're pre-approved. I sold a house this summer, a flip I did in a suburb of Cleveland, Ohio. This purchaser was pre-approved. I saw the letter. There was no issue. That loan that he was getting was supposed to close in July. It closed in September. I was going crazy. And there really was no issue. It's just the banks have gotten insane about that process. So you need to plan a good couple months for your buyer to get their loan. So anyway, long way of saying, if you're using a private lender to fund a flip, no less than 6 months, I would go for 9, but there will be no prepayment penalty, okay? So you can pay it off early. So promissory note, how long is it? How much is it? And then what kind of profit are they looking for? There's 2 primary ways you can do this. You can do what we would call a debt partnership. And in that, they are simply going to get a flat percent return, 7%, 8%, 10%, whatever you and that private money investor find satisfactory, okay? So then the promissory note would say, let's say it's for 9 months, it's $50,000, and it is a 8% return, okay? The second way they can get a profit on this is by splitting the profit in the deal. So again, if it's a flip and you end up making $25,000, they can get whatever percent of that $25,000 that you have agreed to. If it's 50-50, you each get $12,500, 40-60, whatever you agree to, okay? Mine, I must say, I've typically done 50-50. I think in the future, they're only going to get 40. I'm doing all the work, okay? Now, my preference is to give them a percent return for a couple of reasons. Flipping houses, again, is risky. I want to be the one having the risk. I don't want my private money investor to have the risk. If he has got a promissory note for, say, a 7-8% return, that's what he's getting, whether the flip is highly successful or an absolute failure. And I lost money on a couple flips this year. I already said that. It's sad, it's annoying, but it happens. So the private money lenders that I had on those 2 deals actually should not have made anything on their money because it was a 50% equity split. Excuse me, that's called an equity split when they get a percent return. Or excuse me, when they get a portion of your profit. But I wasn't going to let that happen. So I gave them a courtesy 5% return, and they're happy and ready to invest again. If also they're getting a cut of your profit as opposed to a set percent interest, they just might want to be a little too nosy for your comfort. Okay, they might want more progress reports. They might want to have some opinions and advice as to how the deal goes, because their money goes up and down based on the success. I only want my private money lenders to loan the money and be happy when they get the money back. Okay, I don't want their advice in there. So I really do prefer the set percentage. Okay, so we've got the promissory note, which says the term of the loan, the amount, whether they're getting a percent return or a split of the profit. Now, that promissory note is secured to that particular house by a mortgage or a deed of trust. It's called different things in different states, essentially the same document. That mortgage or deed of trust restates the terms in the promissory note and ties it to that house by specific address, okay? They now have a lien on the property. It is as if they are the bank, okay? So that mortgage then is filed by the title company who's closing the deal with the county. It is a totally legal document. You cannot resell that house without your private money lender providing a payoff letter to the company the title company that then would be involved in the sale of the transaction, and that mortgage being satisfied. So it's very, very secure for your private money lender and very clean and easy for you. I would never, ever personally just take money from an individual, stick it in my checking account, keep track of it myself, and no. I want this all above board. I want the promissory note. I want the mortgage. I want it filed in the county. I want my lender's funds wired to the title company. I don't want to ever touch them, okay? And by the way, when I have a situation where I'm paying a return monthly, like with Barbara, she gets $175 a month. I just have that automatically paid out of my business checking account, online banking, directly to her. So I'm not touching anybody's money. It's very clean, very above board. If you're going to fund a hold using private money, I would suggest you do that for at least 2 years, 3, 4, 5 years. How long is that person willing to be earning this nice return on their funds? I like to go for 3 years, but it's totally up again to what you and your lender are comfortable with. No, of course, in the case of a hold, you're going to need an exit strategy or two when the term of that loan is up and your private money lender wants their money back. Barbara's initial term just expired basically a couple months ago, and I had lunch with her, and she just wanted to keep her money in there. She's happy. Awesome. But what could I have done? Well, the house had equity in it when I bought it. It's got a lot more now. I could simply sell it, okay? I could, at this point, get a traditional mortgage on it. I could put a different private money lender on it. I could probably pay it off myself with money from a flip I'm doing. I could refine it. I already said refinance it. There's something else I could do. There's a lot of different options, but know that you will need a strategy when that term is up. Okay, now there's one more thing you want to do, and that is to name your private lender in the insurance policy, so that should anything happen to the house, that private money lender gets the proceeds from the insurance policy. So let's be clear, they do not hold title to the property. They just have the lien on the property as a mortgage. I like it that way. I have partnered in the past with an individual who, instead of doing that, wanted to make a joint LLC. And his only mission was to fund the deal, but we were both equal members in the LLC. I don't know, it was just a little sticky, little tricky, too much accounting, felt he had too much to say. I don't like that. I like it the other way, but it's up to you. There's so many ways that you can do this, which is the beauty of it. So let me see here. Let me see what I haven't covered. I just want to clarify, again, who a private money lender isn't, okay? A private money lender is not the cash investor buyer we use for wholesaling. That's not a private money lender. You're gonna sell him a deal. A private money lender is not an individual who is looking for a turnkey investment. Turnkey wholesaling, great thing to do, right? You're gonna use the investor's money to buy the house, and you're going to get a fee for managing the renovation, and you're presenting them with a turnkey rental. That's different than a private money lender. A private money lender doesn't want to own the property. They just want to get a return on their funds. Okay, so I just want to be clear about that. I have gone through all of the notes that I laid out, the outline that I laid out to cover with you. So at this point, I'm ready to open it up to questions. I'm looking over here at my other computer. Please feel free, ask any questions about private money, and I'll try my best to address them. And I'll drink water in the meantime. This is where we need a little Jeopardy music playing, right? Da 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 bum, da, 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 da. Yeah, I know I'm not a singer. Okay, guys, nobody's got any questions? I'll wait just another minute here. Well, since I'm not getting a rash of questions about private money, we've still got a little time. If anybody has a question about real estate investing, feel free. Any topic you want, I'll just take some questions. And if nobody's got any questions, then we'll call it an early evening. All right, I got a question. Let's see here. What are the 3 best ways when starting out to find private money? I know REIA is good, Real Estate Investment Club, I assume you mean. Well, the 3 best ways. You know, I mean, I think it just goes back to what I already said. These need to be individuals that you know, okay? So I think the best way is to start talking about your business to your friends, your business colleagues, your family, your neighbors. Let people know what you're doing, that you have expertise in real estate, that the real estate market is on the way up. You know, real estate is sexy again. People are hearing about it. They want to be involved, and just be dropping those one-liners of, you know, I'm finding a lot of great deals, and sometimes I have the opportunity for individuals to invest and make a nice return on their money, better than they're typically getting in their IRAs or 401ks, or surely better than CDs and bank accounts. You know, there's people out there that have equity in their home, and gosh, I could, you know, they could take on a home equity line of credit and I could give them a much better return than what they're paying. So really, the basic way is just talking it up with people you know. That truly is the only way I've ever done. Now, are there other ways? Of course, if you have a website, you can be advertising on your website that you have opportunities, now that the SEC is okay with that. Again, I'm not giving you legal advice. You can put ads out on Craigslist that you have opportunities for private investors. And yes, obviously, Real Estate Investment Club's outstanding. Stand up at those Real Estate Investment Club meetings, and you know, there's usually a time of haves and wants in those meetings. I have real estate investment opportunities for private money lenders. See me in the back afterwards. Okay, I think I have another question. What percent return are you paying on private money? As I said, I typically quote 5 to 9%, and I typically pay 7 to 8. I know a lot of successful investors are paying 10 and up to 15%. I have not found that necessary, because people are typically earning 1 to 3, maybe 5% on their money. So if I can double or triple what they're getting now, they're happy. If I quote it too high, it's going to sound risky. But it's really, again, it's whatever you and that investor find satisfactory. More questions? Questions about anything? Do you recommend hard money? Sure, if it gets the deal done and you can't get private money because private money is cheaper, there's nothing wrong with using hard money. But and perhaps you didn't get to hear the very beginning, but you know, a hard money lender typically will not fund 100% of your deal. You're usually going to need 25% down. They usually don't fund the renovation costs. Sometimes they will. They look at the deal. If it's a good deal, typically they'll fund it. So if you work the cost of private money into your numbers and you can still make a profit and you don't have private money yet, by all means, do it. You're welcome, Kelly. Oh, Andy, is there a long delay? I'm glad you let me know that because I'll wait a little longer on the questions. More questions, please. What's for dinner? It's leftovers here tonight. You know, this past, 2.5 years, maybe it's almost 3 years now, I have funded all of my deals, as in all of my deals, either with private money or with our self-directed IRA. And I am a huge fan of funding with self-directed IRA, which, by the way, sometimes you need to help people figure out that they do have funds to lend you. I mentioned, you know, somebody could borrow money on a home equity line of credit and loan it to you. People can self-direct a portion of their IRA or 401k and loan you money from that to get deals done. And then that return gets paid back to the IRA account. It's a great way for people to grow their retirement funds. Have I ever used private money for a wholesale deal? You don't need any money to do a wholesale deal. So no, I have not. Maybe you want to ask me that question again, Kelly, because I'm not sure where you're thinking you need the money for the wholesale deal. So let's take time to clear that up. Oh, Andrea, you are awesome yourself. How do you get money for wet closings? You know, honestly, I don't do wet closings. I don't do a lot of that. But, you know, I would probably, to be frank with you, use a company called Insider's Cash, because they'll do wet closings for 1%, which is pretty darn good, or a $1,500 minimum. You could find them online, Insider's Cash. What is your feeling on 2-bedroom properties for rehab? You know, if you're in a neighborhood where 2 bedrooms are not uncommon, where 2 bedrooms move quickly, go for it. Find out from have your real estate agent pool 2-bedroom property sold and see how long they've taken to move. There are areas where that is a pretty normal property. I prefer 3. I think that in general, it's easier to move 3-family homes, but you know, with inventory being tighter these days, I personally have bought a couple 2 bedrooms myself, and you know, it's been fine. So, you know, the answer to all that kind of question is there a demand for that kind of a house? You need to invest in what the majority of homeowners or renters want and expect. More questions? Well, I hope this has been helpful for you. I hope that it clarified a few things and went logically enough. Know that this Google Hangout, as all of them, will be available for you to view again, okay, to watch the replay. Also, please feel free to submit an Ask the Expert question if you need clarification on anything. I am also open for private messages. Just know that if I get a lot, it might take me a little while to get back to you, but I'd love to provide further clarification and education for you on the use of private money, because I got to tell you what, when I learned about it, it opened up a world of opportunity. I just didn't even know that such a thing was done, okay? So I hope that this provides you some more alternatives for your real estate investing business. I mean, wholesaling is fantastic and you don't need money for that. Sandwich lease options, fantastic. You don't need money for that. But golly, the way the market is now, if you can share this opportunity, literally, I feel that way, you're sharing the opportunity with individuals you know to make a better return, and you yourself can make some nice money on flips or good return on holds. I mean, go for it, right? Go for it. So I'll look one more time over here for questions. Oh, what's my favorite way to find deals now? Oh boy. Well, you know, my favorite way is to have another wholesaler bring it to me. Okay, that's my favorite way. I do a lot of networking with other investors, wholesalers, and people who flip and hold and also wholesale. I love it when they bring me a deal and I can just pay them something for it. That's my favorite way. But of course, we're still making offers on properties. My son, John, as many of you know, is my partner. We just sat down for about 3 hours today and had a catch-up planning status meeting. We've got, about 5, 6 realtors we're regularly working with, submitting offers. We get in a dozen or 2 dozen offers every week or two. So we're still working the MLS. We're putting a new focus on HUD properties. Recently bought a property off Hubzu, HUBZU.com. It's an auction process. And yes, we do bandit signs. Yes, we put Craigslist ads on. We're trying some new things here in the Seattle market. Seattle is a high-tech, snobby area, and although bandit signs work and we do them, they don't work as magically as they do in some of those Midwestern markets. So we're kind of, we just ordered 100 more signs. They're going in the ground, but at the same time, we're trying some new advertisements in newspapers. We're putting in a quarter-page ad in a home section that comes out, once a year in May. We're putting a classified ad in the newspaper. We are actually going to be co-authoring a little Ask the Expert column in one of the newspapers, which actually is advertising. We're paying to do that. But we can have people write in questions, or we can just provide little educational articles and thereby increase our visibility. Let's see, what else? When you first started wholesaling, did you stumble? Hell, I still stumble, excuse me. Yeah, I mean, of course, everybody stumbles. You stumble all along the way. You just learn to get up faster, and you stumble maybe less frequently. But yeah, I mean, nothing's magical here. Nothing fell in my lap. I've said twice already in this hour, I just lost money on 2 flips, okay? I mean, stuff happens. Stuff happens all along the way. But you get better, you learn to recover, and you go on. And as my dear friend Andrew would say, there is no fail. There's only succeed or learn. And man, I'm learning. Painful. Nice. I like the wholesaler. Bring it to you. Oh, yeah. Oh, man. You got to network like crazy. Real Estate Investment Club meetings, Craigslist, LinkedIn, YouTube, people on Insider Elite, all these things. Yeah, absolutely. Networking for deals is the best. Anything else, my IE fam? Wait just a few more seconds. All right then. Well, I'm going to say a fond farewell. Love you guys. I'm excited that you're on your path to successful real estate investment. Please don't get discouraged. And as soon as those words come out of my mouth, I know that there are times when we do get discouraged. Get back up, okay? Get back up, dust yourself off, and keep moving forward. It's a lesson that I learned over and over again. And when you have success, oh man, celebrate, okay? And don't wait for success to mean I've closed a deal and I've got a big check. Success means I put in an offer. Success means I talked about private money to somebody I know. Success means I put my bandit sign in the ground. Success means I went to the Real Estate Investment Club meeting. Everything you do along the way, celebrate. Here's another question from Kelly. When making an offer for inspection, do you cross off the part that says license inspector? Okay, so you must be talking about the bank contracts or the Fannie Freddie type contracts. Those, for those of you that don't know, the MLS contracts, without exception, as far as I know, that inspection contingency is very, very subjective. It simply says that the inspection has to meet the buyer's satisfaction, okay? So that's easy to back out of if necessary. Those bank and agency contracts, those inspection contingencies usually say they have the right to see a written inspection report by a licensed inspector. As a wholesaler, actually as any kind of investor, you're not going to be getting that. You're not going to pay for that. If you're wholesaling, you're never going to do that. If you're flipping, you're probably going to have your contractor look at the house for free. And it also says that they reserve the right to remedy anything to which you object, which again, if you're wholesaling, you don't want them fixing anything. You just want a way to back out of the deal if you can't get it wholesaled. Instead of crossing it out, although it probably doesn't matter, I usually will just have my agent write in an additional line or an addendum to the contract that says offer is subject to buyer's partner's approval. That gives me a wide open out. I don't cloud it with saying partner's inspection or approval of inspection. Now, Is the bank or Fannie going to take that? Sometimes, sometimes not. Adding that without question weakens your offer. The more contingencies, the weaker the offer. If you want a zero risk situation, you need to add something like that. If you want to take a little risk, you can let that inspection contingency fly as it is, knowing there is an exposure there. You could try market, if you get that deal under contract and you can't get it marketed in those first 48 hours before your earnest money is due, and maybe you can stretch that to 3-4 days, back out before you send the earnest money. Now, do I want you to do that as a regular practice? Absolutely not. Okay, we want to keep things clean and above board and be known for closing on our deals. But frankly, in today's market, you should not have any problem getting cash buyers. And if you create a deal where they want, for what they want, for the kind of profit they want, you should not be needing to back onto deals with any kind of frequency. Okay, I haven't seen any other questions come in. So God bless you all. Hope to chat with you again real soon. Bye-bye.